Hello everyone, Clock of the Geek here, welcome back to a brand new video, and today we're going to be ranking the Doctor Who series openers. I should quickly stress here that this is all the modern series, so no classic stories here, it's just series 1 to 12. Now the main job of the series opener is to introduce the series obviously, and sort of open it with a bang, not with a whimper, and to keep you engaged for the rest of the series. So we're going to be ranking all 12 series openers from Rose to Spyfall. Let's go. In last place, I've gone for the series 2 opener, New Earth. This story is just so painfully dull. There is just nothing to it. First of all, bringing back Cassandra, a villain that I didn't like in series 1, is now brought back and is made even more annoying, and makes Tennant and Rose annoying in their first proper outing, because I know Christmas Invasion, but that was Christmas special. This is their first proper outing, and it's not a very good first impression. Like, this story is so full of nothing, and it's just such a lacklustre way to introduce a series. I mean, if there's one positive, I mean, the shots of New Earth do look alright. At number 11, we have the Series 7 opener, Asylum of the Daleks. This story is just dreadful, and it kind of just misunderstands the Daleks. I mean, the idea of a Dalek parliament is just stupid. Like, what? Since when do the Daleks have, like, a form of democracy? And the idea of a Dalek asylum is kind of cool, but the fact that they say, like, we wouldn't destroy our insane ones, yes, they would. Daleks have destroyed other Daleks in the past. Plenty of times. There are so many plot holes, it's unbelievable. The classic Dalek fan service is just completely wasted, and the Amy and Rory divorce subplot is dreadful. Like, there's no need for it to be there, and it's honestly just not nice to watch. However, two good things about the story: one, it looks great, and two, Matt's performance is really good. He really sells the fear of the Daleks, and his performance is very good. At number 10, we have the Series 9 opener, The Magician's Apprentice and The Witch's Familiar. Now, I've already done an episode review on this, so go check that out if you want my full thoughts. But in short, part 1 is just pointless. It abuses the two-part format with pretty much nothing happening. And part 2 just wastes so many good ideas, and it creates so many other ideas and plot holes that just completely misunderstand the point of the Daleks. But there are some good stuff to it. The Doctor and Davros' scenes are great, and I do quite like Missy in this story. Next we have the Series 11 opener, The Woman Who Fell to Earth. Now, this story's definitely gone down a bit since I first watched it, since it first broadcast, but it's still alright. Jodie, she makes a decent first impression as a Doctor, and there's a really great speech near the end about family, which is a real highlight of her era, I think. And also her costume in this, with Capaldi's tattered clothes, I think it really suits her. I just know, it's something very doctory about it. It also looks incredible, and there's some really good visuals and stuff. And, Tim Shaw, he's an alright villain for the opener. And some of the stuff with the companions is pretty good, especially the stuff we get with Graham and, Grace dying. That's pretty good, yeah. But for me, it's just like a fairly serviceable series opener. Like, it doesn't do anything offensive, but it doesn't really stick out in my mind too much. It's fine. There's just nothing wrong with it particularly, but it's just there, At number 8, we have the opener to Series 8, Deep Breath. Capaldi makes a great first impression as the 12th Doctor, and it's very refreshing after Tennant and Smith, as we now see a more darker, mysterious and morally ambiguous Doctor who questions himself. And it's refreshing, The Victorian setting is quite cool. The half-faced man is a really cool antagonist, and it's quite a nice metaphor for, like, change and regeneration, putting in different parts. It's quite clever in that way. Bringing back the Paternoster Gang was a welcome move, considering they were part of the Matt Smith era, and they, appear in this. And it's the last time they've ever appeared in the show. But there does feel like there's something missing in this story. I can't put my finger on what, but it's not one that I'm drawn to always. Next we have the Series 4 opener, Partners in Crime. This is a pretty fun romp. Nothing mind-blowing, but it is fun to watch. David Tennant and Catherine Tate's chemistry is just off the charts. Their banter and their humour and the comedy and their chemistry. It's just brilliant, and it's leaps and bounds better from the Runaway Bride. And Donna actually feels like a proper character. Like, in the Runaway Bride, she was kind of just like sort of shouty comic relief, but here, you know, she's given an actual character with, you know, backstory and her own sort of little character traits and quirks and struggles and stuff. It's really good. The Adipose are a really cute monster. I quite like him, and Miss Foster is a very good villain. But like the last two, it's not one that screams out necessarily, but I do really enjoy it. At number 6, we have the one that started it all, Rose. Now, I know people would put this a lot higher, and I totally understand that. It's the story that kicked off the revival series, and if it wasn't for this, if it didn't work, we would not have Doctor Who as we know it today. Showing the story from Rose's perspective is really good because, you know, it's a really good audience relation, you know. We can ease our way into the new format of the show through Rose as she's discovering all these wonderful things, and that's a really good approach. Christopher Eccleston just nails it as the Doctor. From the second he grabs Rose's hand and says, "Run," he's just the Doctor. Using the Autons, a classic monster, is really good because for classic fans it's great because it'll still feel like the same show. You know, you've got the iconography of the Autons. But to new viewers, they're simple enough monsters for them to be seen as an original monster. But the reason it's not higher is because it is a fairly simple story, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's what Doctor Who needed. You don't want to be bombarding your new audience with canon or lore. But as a story, it's nothing extraordinary, is it? And there are a few little nitpicks I have, you know, like the CGI is a bit dated and a few other little nitpicks. But overall, it's a fairly good story, which kicked Doctor Who off with a bang. At number 5, we have the Series 12 opener, Spyfall. Now, after Series 11, massively disappointed, and the year-long gap, you know, it didn't fill me with too much confidence for Series 12, and I mean, I was looking forward to it, but I was still kind of like, I don't know. But this was just such a shock, and it was such a welcome shock. The Kasavin were a great monster. The Master reveal was brilliant, you know, Sash Dhawan is a great Master. There were some great guest appearances from Stephen Fry and Lenny Henry. Some great action scenes. It looked incredible. You know, taking place across different centuries and dimensions, and it was brilliant. Jodie's performance was a lot better, and apart from like a couple of other little lines, I thought she was very good in this one. Ryan and Yaz had stuff to do, you know, when they were, you know, going undercover, and that scene when they were interviewing Daniel Barton about, you know, like misuse of data and stuff, I thought that was really well integrated into the plot, and like sort of the message of, like, you know, cyber technology and misuse of it. I thought that was really well weaved into the plot. My only real gripe is that in the second part, they do use a lot of previous ideas from previous Doctor Who stories, and the ending is a bit of a cop-out. But other than that, this is a really fun story, I think, and one of the highlights of Series 12. At number 4, we have the Series 6 opener, The Impossible Astronaut and Day of the Moon, another two-parter. This story is just great, you know, you got... First of all, it feels properly sort of cinematic, you know, with the stuff like the astronaut on the lake and the setting of 1969 with the moon landing and the Oval Office. It feels like a proper big budget movie, and it's really good. Again, the historical setting of the moon landing is a really cool and interesting setting. I think that's really good. The stuff with the Doctor dying, it is tiresome now, but back then it must have been a real shock, and it's a really good, effective way to open a series, you know, a very shocking way, and it's really good. It's also very timey-wimey. I mean, that's kind of expected of Moffat, but yeah, you know, the whole time-hopping stuff, it's really cool. And yeah, there's some great characters as well, like, what's his name, Canton, you know, the FBI agent, he's a really good character. And it's just a really great, effective way to open the series. At number 3, you have Series 3's opener, Smith and Jones, the best Russell T Davies opener, in my opinion. This story is just unabashed fun. Space police rhinos on the moon invading a hospital with a blood-sucking Daily Mail reader. Okay, I really poorly described that, but that's kind of what it is, and I love it to bits. The Judoon are a great monster. I've always loved them. They're such a cool, unique concept, and they're just, you know, they're simple but effective. Plasma is quite creepy, and although not on the same level as the Judoon, in terms of how much I like them, it's still quite creepy considering it is an old woman who sucks people's blood with a straw. Yeah. I also think in Series 3 that David Tennant's performance is a notable improvement from Series 2, and this applies to this story as well. And it's the introduction of Martha, who is a great companion here. You know, you get to know a lot about her, you know, like her home life, her background, her medical student stuff, you know, and she's a really good character, and, you know, she's very... I just love Martha as a companion, and yeah, this story is just a ton of fun. And number 2, we have the Series 10 opener, the pilot. I have so much nostalgia for this one, as Series 10 was my first series. This story just works so well as an opener, you know. You don't need to know anything really about the past, you know. There are some nice references like the sonic screwdrivers and the pencil pot, and photos of River and Susan and the Dalek Magellan War, but they're just like little background things. It's a fairly simple story, but it's sort of a taste of everything that Doctor Who can offer, you know. You got time travel, you got going to different planets, you got the Daleks, you got the Doctor and his companions, you know, it's really cool. Bill is such a brilliant companion. She's so, you know, likeable and relatable and real, and Nardole is also a really good addition to the TARDIS team. Capaldi's on fire, as always. I mean, you know, him being a university professor is really cool, and it's just such a great opener. And it must have worked, because nearly 4 years later, I'm still watching Doctor Who. But coming in at number 1 is Series 5's magnificent opener, The 11th Hour. Obviously, after David Tennant left, you know, there was a lot of fear that Doctor Who wouldn't be as good anymore. Bloody hell, this story proved that wrong. Matt Smith's energy and enthusiasm for the role is just so infectious in the story, you know. It's so fast-paced, and he just carries the story. And his I am the Doctor moment at the end is just, hairs on the back of my neck every time I watch it. Amy's a really interesting character here, you know. The Doctor met her as a child. It really impacted her life, and yeah, she's like this now, and it's really well done. It feels really magical, and that's sort of what Moffat wanted, you know. A fairy tale is what Doctor Who is for him, and I like that approach. I like how it's set in a smaller little village, that's really cool, and I like how the stakes keep getting higher and higher, you know. TARDIS doesn't work, then Sonic doesn't work, all it is just the Doctor with his brain, and it's just brilliant. Great supporting cast as well, you know. You've got Olivia Colman as Prisoner Zero, she's really good, you know. You've got great side characters. It's just the perfect opener to Doctor Who, and I absolutely adore it.